Thanks for joining us on the Rebel Wisdom podcast. We're going to throw up one of our older episodes where we talked about wealth. It was really good conversation, and we hope you can get a lot out of it. So please enjoy.
Yo, B, let's go.
You may have seen the clip and maybe heard word of mouth, yet another podcast. Man, what could it be about? Is it truth or opinion? A couple of contradictions. We're here to challenge tradition and twist your vision. So we set on a mission to bring you Rebel Wisdom.
Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Wisdom. I'm Julian here with my co-host B, and today we're going to be talking about wealth. Who doesn't like a little wealth? Maybe not in the traditional sense though. So stay tuned to see where we take it. On that note, B, you came across a really good I don't even want to say definition, kind of a breakdown, more of an acronym of wealth, and you kind of put me on game too. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so before I go through it, to make it more sense, what's your traditional? I'm gonna throw it back at you.
Let's get it.
What's your how is wealth looked at in the traditional?
Yes.
I guess just everyday people. What do you think?
When I think wealth, I immediately, without hesitation, think money, and I think it's safe to say that's probably what most people think, right? I think that's a common narrative.
Because there has to be, sure, we can just look at the definition and look at the word wealth, right? But that kind of defeats the purpose. That's not what we're going after. But there's the word rich and there's wealth, right? So what's the distinguishing factor between the two? And at least from my perspective, you never I like real estate, right? And when investing in real estate, there's a lot of sayings like cash flow makes you rich, but the appreciation makes you wealthy. So there's an aspect of, I guess I don't want to say just a longevity, but there's aspect of time I feel like built into the word wealth. Whereas
Okay.
rich, there's not. It's when I think of rich, there's more material, just like numbers on a bank account type of thing.
Dude, it's insane that you brought up the word time, and I'm not even going to get into it now, but I'm going to anchor on that heavily later once we talk through the acronym. But I agree a lot. But it's just wild because I think that's going to be one of my biggest talking points.
Okay.
That I just want to talk to you with and get your thoughts on.
Okay.
Yes, but you brought up the definition, so I wasn't gonna bring it up yet, but I'm gonna read the definition of wealth because it's actually not strictly regarding money,
Okay.
money.
It's not.
It's not. Well, you know how a lot of words have multiple definitions. One of them are, but I think the overarching theme is not have to do with money. So, and this is just a quick Google. The Google, it's not I don't know if this is derived from Webster. Oh, definitions from Oxford language. So there you go. First thing that came up on Google. It is an abundance of valuable possessions or money. And then it goes on to say the state of being rich or material prosperity. And then the last one is plentiful supplies of a particular resource. Also, time is a resource. So I just want to keep that in mind as we navigate this conversation. Obviously, there's a element of money, which is, again, what wealth is most synonymous of. But the valuable possessions or plentiful supplies, just the sense of abundance, I think is key too. And I think that's what I kind of personally want to dissect a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like. I don't like when words are so. It's like an umbrella term that could be so subjective and it kind of covers so much. You know what I mean?
It could be. But also why I like words, because a lot of words have many words for one thing, but some words are you have a word that's an overarching thing, and you have another word that's that same topic but a little bit more specific, and another word that's same topic but it only means this one thing. The English language is probably super hard to learn as a foreigner, but I, which I think it's cool to just like play with it. It's probably why I like
Mm,
poetry and stuff. But
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, that you're right. Like we're able to have this conversation like about wealth because it's so subjective and it's not
hmm
doesn't say, hey, this is this,
yes, yes,
you know. So okay, getting back into it. So I'm stealing this acronym from a book I read by Ryan Pineda. He's not a I don't I feel like he gets a bad name for himself because he is the guru type in a lot of things. But at least for gurus, they got to that position because they were actually successful in the stuff that
Mhm.
they did.
Yeah,
And then even after that, like the way he has his businesses structured, he's still doing well in that aspect. Because like people say, you know, these gurus, if they were actually making money on the stuff that they're trying to teach you,
yeah,
then they wouldn't have been making courses. They would have just kept doing like I don't
not
it's not
necessarily.
just about that because like
Yeah,
I like making money, obviously. Everyone does,
who
right?
doesn't?
But at the same time, like it would be cool to just like kind of like put your voice out there and then try to, there's different people's stages in life. Now, hopefully, like maybe my experiences can help out someone, that's walking similar steps that's, before where the position that I'm at. So with that, like that's just a little side note on gurus, I guess. But I'm sure gurus get a bad name because there are actual, people that show that actually practice like bad behaviors, I guess.
Yeah,
But regardless, like that's all that to say. I do like Ryan Pineda. I watch his YouTube channel. I listen to his podcast. Obviously, I read a book by him. Um, but he wrote a book called The Wealthy Way and the colon Don't Go Broke Trying to Get Rich. And I really like that second part because don't go broke trying to get rich. Like if you take it literally, like that makes no sense, right? But then if you take that figuratively in the conversation that we're about to talk about, where m- we're trying to tie wealth into obviously money is going to be a part of it.
yeah,
We can't escape that. But combining so much other factors of being wealth, it makes sense that you don't want to go broke in those material, non-material, spiritual, mental,
resources.
like those
Yeah,
kind of things while you're actually trying to get rich. Because if you're going after the rich, like money rich, you might end up having to sacrifice a lot of stuff.
hmm
But the whole thing is like you don't have to. Um, so the acronym goes, no, it spells out wealth, and the W is for worship, E is for education, A is for affluence, and L is for lifestyle, and T is for team, and H is for health. So,
wealth.
so you just go from
Yeah,
top the line to
yeah, and I think there's a great right in this is no. Sure, you could substitute any one of these one letters with something else, but I just think
Mhm,
for this for the topic of wealth, I think those are like pretty good buckets of ideas that fit the concept of being wealthy. Like I feel like he put some time into it and just didn't throw random words at it.
mhm,
So although like speaking with you is the first time I heard this acronym, I do kind of like it. Um, so worship, I think for me personally, this is gonna be a good one to dissect, because I'm not the most religious person. I don't think I have any worship practices in the traditional sense. Um, I certainly consider myself spiritual, believe in a higher power, but when you think of worship, um, yeah, in the religious, I guess sense, there's not too much, I think, worship happening in my life. Um, Now I do like you and I talked about, I do at some point want to just almost explore different religions because although I am not religious, I think the religious thread through human history has had a huge impact on just the human species. So, um, even though I may not worship in the traditional sense, I think religion is very influential and impactful and also largely like positive. And I think there's something to be said about that. And there's probably a lot of, I like haven't read the Bible in its entirety. I know you were talking about, did you ever read it? I know did
No,
you start it?
no. So at least from my side, I think I'm very similar to you. Like on paper, I am a Christian. Like I was
Yeah, shit.
baptized as an early child,
Yep.
and then like if someone were to ask me, like, "Hey, what's your
Yeah.
religion?" Like,
Check a box.
yeah, check a box.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I would put
Yeah.
Christianity, right? Because I also believe in a higher power, and this is probably the toughest years just trying to play with the idea of religion,
Mm.
just because I'm not trying to make excuses, right? But coming from my background on my American side and my Japanese side, I grew up majority of my time in Japan,
Okay.
and Japanese people aren't religious. They're
As a
spiritual.
whole, you're saying, okay.
Yeah, they're spiritual.
Yeah.
Like they believe in the Shinto, like
Yep. Yep.
spirits and stuff like that. But it's not. They don't like worship in a traditional
Mhm.
religious sense, like where they worship like a one person. Um, it's not like that.
Is there any, like, worshiping, like, rituals or like,
Yeah,
you go to the temple
they
and
have rituals
yeah.
maybe like a wedding, like ceremonies, like
Mhm.
weddings, funerals, and other stuff that they do. I
Yeah.
think they get major influences from the like a Buddhism
Yeah.
culture, I guess.
I'm also trying to think, like, what distinguishes worship from rituals? Because I know in Japanese, there's, like, a bunch of, like, rituals you could do that symbolize cleansing or, just little actions you can do, but, like, I don't know if that I'd consider that worship.
Yeah, it's
Um
weird too, because like in Japanese, I guess Japanese culture, like you would pray to a god,
Mhm. Mhm.
but then you know how in Christianity, like God is like Jesus,
Mhm.
but then in the Japanese culture, God is just God. There's not like a
That's
person or a you just say like,
sure,
"Hey
yeah.
God," blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then I guess that yeah. So that I don't want to go too much into it. 'Cause
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
too familiar on that side,
Even less.
just from my daily
Yeah.
experiences. But so with that being said, I just never grew up where religion was enforced upon me.
Mhm.
So I just naturally didn't really care. And then I had experiences in college where people tried to get me into it. I really didn't have
Same.
a positive experience during that time.
Mm.
So honestly, like from college, early adulthood, I just never got into religion. And then like this gets really personal, but like I told you many times, but it's so weird because like I believe heavily into science and stuff like that. So like in my own head, I just like it's like there's no way that this thing's blah blah blah. Like that's one side of it.
Mhm.
On the other side, like going through life, there's so much stuff that just doesn't make sense, but just there. One example that I'm reading like a science book right now, and then like
Hey, bro, you in the
quantum
textbook?
physics, right? Like quantum physics is crazy because it goes everything against what we believe in, like Newtonian physics.
Mm.
And people like you say, hey, can electrons be in the same place at the exact same time? In your head, in my head, it's like, no, that's impossible, but it happens, right? So that's like that's just like it's crazy to me that I just not that crazy. I just need to be open minded enough
Mm.
to believe that
Good.
something else could be happening, right?
Yes.
And on top of that, recently, like probably before, I came to Phoenix when I was 27. And before I came to Phoenix, I probably like literally hands crossed, eyes like hands
Yeah,
like this,
the
like eyes closed. I said, "Hey God," and then when I say "Hey God," I'm referencing like
Right.
Christianity, like
Mhm.
Jesus. Um, and I say, "Hey, I messed up, blah blah blah. Blah, please help me." Blah, blah, blah. I probably did that 5 times in my entire life. Like
Mhm.
I messed up bad,
Mhm.
or at least I thought I did. Um, and then after I came to Phoenix, I started to do that a
Mhm.
little bit more often. I'm talking literally like maybe once a quarter, maybe once every 6 months
What
type of
influenced
stuff.
you?
Huh?
What influenced you?
I don't know, dude.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Because you know you just got to finish. You're like, I'm gonna start doing this. Like there had to be a conversation you had with somebody, a book you read, a dream you had, like something.
And maybe it started as like a self-coping mechanism just to make myself feel better that there might be a higher power looking after me.
Okay.
But then I started doing that, right?
Okay.
And the coincidence or not, each of those times, like I don't pray often. Like I have to be in a very particular situation to pray. But when I did those things, I don't know if my prayers were heard, but just like ended up working out. And it's not like a general thing where it could have happened, but it's like very particular things that
Yeah.
like I wished for, I like prayed for, asked for help for, and they happened. And so that just got me thinking, I'm like, crap, like I don't, maybe it could be a fluke. Really could be, but then it could not be, right?
Right.
And then the fact that there's such a big religious following like, on Christianity, and I don't think the teachings are bad at all, to be honest. Like the things that they say, like it makes you a better. You don't need Christianity. You don't need religion to be a good person.
Yeah.
But
No. But
there's like the guidelines that they set. I agree with.
okay.
So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a hypocrite. I want to take this very slowly. But
Yeah.
this year, I do want to read the Bible from start to finish.
Okay. I remember we were talking about that. I didn't know where you were at in that process.
I have not started. I
Okay.
started a new book, but I will get I will do it this year.
Okay. Yeah. So literally you just spelled out what I was saying in that it's like a vehicle for positivity. I mean, whether it's real or a figure or entity is answering prayers or not, it's constructed, I think, for the betterment of humanity, or at least from, some people could disagree with it and disagree with some of the ideals, but I think objectively it's more good than bad. Religion, that is. And I was gonna say something else based on what you said.
People would
Oh,
disagree with your statement too, like objective, because like they say, oh, religion has caused so many wars, blah blah blah.
yeah, okay. I mean, from historical, that's true. That's true. I guess I feel like on a unit level, like for every human that practices worship or that deems himself religious, for what religion has done in their life, again, there's absolutely no way to prove what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just my theory. I think it has given more value than not. But I mean, again, that'll just remain a hypothesis, and that's that. Um, but on back to the, you worshiping, you prayed a couple times, and you found positive results, and you said it could either be true or coincidence, but regardless, that was your experience. Like you did that action and you had those results. Do you think there's somewhere in between where it's not necessarily an entity, maybe lining things in your favor, or pure coincidence, but like manifestation? Maybe you're just putting that energy out there, and then it is, I don't know if this karma would be the right word, but in a sense that is the energy you're putting into the world, and therefore, and like your actions are matching that, and therefore you're receiving that. Do you think like
Yeah, I mean that
that
could
could,
definitely be one of the.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean like these are just such crazy ideas to me.
yeah,
If they told me, oh, some all-knowing person said all of those are fake, I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised. But if they
right,
say one of those are actually what's happening, I also wouldn't be surprised
right,
because
right, right.
it's just such a crazy idea.
Yes,
But
yes.
what you said is like more in lines of not exactly what you said, but let me explain. That's more in lines with the Japanese thinking.
Hmm.
Because like when someone dies in a Japanese culture, their like spirits are supposed to man, there's so many, it's so weird. Like they go to the grave. I think there's afterlife, but they also reincarnate. But at the same time, the spirits are supposed to watch over you.
Mm.
Yeah, they're multitasking like crazy and after you die. No, because like
Busy.
they
That's
always
because
said
Japanese people
like,
don't stop working, bro.
yeah,
Even when
yeah,
they die, they're still
there's
spirits
no
are still
retire.
grinding.
Yeah,
Dang. That's that's crazy.
That's funny. But dude, well, before I say my next piece, I appreciate you just like there's not too many people that can talk about stuff like this without judgment, aggression. It's just I like the open-mindedness
I was
that
about to
you
say,
bring
you
to the
said it best
table.
earlier when you even said yourself you were trying to focus on being open-minded, like, that's all it is. We're not here to offend anybody or just to put some thoughts out there and
Yeah.
see, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course, dude.
But at least like when my great grandfather died, I was in like third grade when he died. So I mean, I have memories with him, but like I just hear stories of how much like he loved me and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
everyone told me like, hey, he's looking after you in
Oh,
particular. Like,
man.
so I don't know, maybe it could be
Mhm.
him like taking care of me. I don't
Mhm.
know. That's more in terms of like in line with spirits type of way that I kind of mentioned the Japanese people believe in. But
Dang.
I do wanna say this about religion. I wanna say a couple things. Um, First is that regardless I don't wanna get stuck on the idea of religion,
Yeah,
kinda expanding outside of religion, but, like, being able to serve someone besides yourself,
sir.
because religion ultimately is serving other higher
Service.
power, right? In the way that they want you to live life.
Mhm.
But the idea of serving someone, whether it's God or other people or your family or just someone besides yourself, I just think that's a great way to live.
Mm,
So maybe religion or worship in this case for the W in terms of wealth, I think it could be substituted. But I do like the idea of that worship or just taking care of not taking care of, but like thinking about other people, putting
yeah.
others in front of yourself.
I'm so glad you brought the conversation there to that service piece. I wasn't thinking that, but I think that's very appropriate in the spirit of abundance, right? And
Mhm.
having a lot of one thing, if it's an emotion, resource, something tangible, etc. I read it had to be my memory's crap. So the fact that I'm even remembering this means I saw it yesterday or today. It was on Instagram, just scrolling, and there was a teacher. It was a little thread about something the teacher did. It was a little experiment with her kids. I don't know what grade. It had to be probably like middle school or younger. But she said she had every kid that came, and this was like not her class, but like all the class in the hallway. So maybe like the first grade, like all the first graders did this thing. She said she had, we'll say first grade. She had all the first graders take a balloon and they wrote their name on a piece of paper, put it in the balloon. They blew up the balloons, they tied it off, and they threw all the balloons in the hallway. And then in this little reel, there was a picture of a hallway with like a whole bunch of balloons, like about waist high. And she said, "All right, I want everybody to go." And then they mixed all the balloons up. She was like, "I want all of you to go out in the hallway and find a balloon with your name in it. And the balloon's like see through, so you just pick it up and like read the card that's inside." Um, and she's like, she just set the clock for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, no kid found a balloon with their name on it. It's probably an exaggeration. I'm sure somebody found one, but they were like, nobody found a balloon with their name on it. Then she was like, all right, now I'm gonna reset it for 5 minutes. I want everybody to go in the hallway, pick up the first balloon you see, and then whoever name is on it, give them their balloon. Like go find them and give them their balloon. She set the clock for 5 minutes, and well under 5 minutes, like everyone had their balloon.
Mm.
And then the purpose of this was, which I never heard this like analogy. They were like, those balloons symbolize happiness. In life, it's much harder, if not impossible, to find full. Probably not impossible. It's much harder to find happiness if you just look for it yourself, or it's like look for your own. But when you help others find theirs, you receive it in abundance. I was like, dang, that's such a little corny story, but like, they kind of hit.
Yeah.
So like when you help others, it kind of goes back to the service piece, which is what made me think about it. Like in the spirit of serving others, you actually receive in abundance because they're finding the balloons, giving it to other people, but they also got their balloon with their name on it. Like you also get your happiness. And I don't know if it's biblical, but probably late last year through this year, I've been hearing a lot just about gratitude, how gratitude is a big proponent in finding happiness and just to be becoming wealthy, like be grateful for the people in your lives and the things you have. And that's a big piece of kind of being happy and then just achieving further and whatever it is. So I think, yeah, I don't, not necessarily worship, but again, in the context of religion, but a subcontext like service, more particularly, I think is huge in pursuing wealth because again, you receive in abundance when you operate and with gratitude, when you operate with service. And those are very like outward things like I'm grateful for you in my life, or I'm serving, I'm doing this thing for this person. Like none of those are very selfless acts,
Mhm.
and it returns, and that I think directly contributes to your wealth of like your fulfillment as a human, which is kind of gets into some other things we'll talk about. Could aid in your lifestyle, which was L, and things of that nature. So I thought that was perfect.
The word gratitude, you know what that makes me think of?
What's that?
You watched the Rhythm and Flow
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
season 2?
Yes.
The guy
Oh yeah.
that shoot, I might spoil it. I mean, yeah, whatever. They can skip over it if they think he's gonna
Just
spoil it.
send it.
But the guy that should have won,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
his thing was like whenever,
Mm.
like obviously, like all the judges were like glazing him, right? Because like, oh, like he's
Or
so
gas him
polished,
up.
blah blah blah,
He was.
every single round.
Yep.
And I just found it so funny. He'll just like put his chest, like he'll just put his hand on
Yep.
his
Just be like,
heart, like fist, and was like,
mm-hmm.
just be like gratitude. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, who says that? Who just says
That's his lingo.
gratitude?
That's his lingo, bro. But I felt it like when he said it, like he looked very like he meant it though. You know what I mean? Like it was literally from the heart.
Dude, I could not get over that, dude. So,
Yeah, bro. Might
just
be a
say
product of
thank
where he's
you.
from. Where was he
Just say
from?
thank you.
Why can't he say gratitude?
Because it's weird.
Weird just means it's just not accepted enough. I like when people do their own
Yeah, I
things.
don't care. But I just think it was
Yeah, yeah,
kind
yeah.
of just,
That was just like his thing for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Dang. Obviously, he didn't have enough gratitude because he did not receive receive what I think he should have. But it is what it is. Um, yeah, that's a good kickoff for W. All right, let's jump into this E. Education. I mean, for obvious reasons, education can right better your life. I don't think again anyone would dispute that. I don't think that needs to be like harped on. But I guess like how can it make you wealthy? I mean, the abundance of knowledge, first off, education, when you think of education, I think uh formal schooling, college, primary school, but whatever, like, the formal schooling, but you can really educate yourself, especially in today's day and age, with anything in a lot of different ways. And this, I would just want to boil down to like trying to emphasize this abundance piece because I think that's like again, it was in the wealth definition. Education is just like abundance of knowledge or like the pursuit
Mhm.
of knowledge. And that can be with anything. Take it back to the money piece. If you continue to educate yourself on money, like you think you're not going to get more financially savvy or just understand how money circulates more. So I'm in a transition, kind of in a transitionary period of my life where I'm trying to come to the other side and be where you are, in the civilian world.
What do
So
you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
yeah, I'm trying to transition out of the military. Is what I mean by that. And so in the phase I'm in, I've never not worked in the military since high school. So put that out there. So I'm trying to basically doing a program, which B did actually, and recently I got some guidance, I guess, direction to look at my college resume because a lot of us majoring things in college, we never touch whatever, we forget about it. Aren't even savvy in what we majored in. But so I'm going back through my college transcript and looking at some of the classes I took that I think would apply today, and I'm like watching videos or trying to read up on some of those classes I took. So earlier today I was, and kind of because we talked about it recently, modern monetary policy. One of my class that wasn't my class. My class was monetary policy and monetary. It was monetary and fiscal policy. I
Mhm.
think that was it. Anyway, it's like I was watching a video on it, and in this video, like if I'm watching in college, it's just you haven't lived enough life to really see how taxes affect you, or you're not spending money like that. But now as an adult, I've navigated rent and had a car and lived different places and whatever. Like money has more meaning to me. I was watching these videos and just had like different thoughts, but I was also thinking back to when you and I discussed modern monetary theory and trying to compare with that. And yeah, I'm just like, it had no in the moment benefit to my life, but just telling myself like, hey, I want to continue to pursue these concepts and these ideas because I do think it will just affect me better, help me maneuver life in a more educated, in a better manner. And that I think directly promotes a wealthy a wealthy lifestyle, wealth in thought and knowledge, and then that'll translate into, depending on what I'm learning, whatever I apply it to.
But on the education piece, dude, you hit a lot of the wickets of what the umbrella term education in this scenario could cover, which I like. But I just think a person is just figuratively richer as a person, whatever that means, the
Yeah.
more that they know,
Yes.
right? And I don't know what it is. It's not that it makes you a better person or a bad person. It doesn't skew that scale, but
Mm.
you know what I mean, right?
Yes. Yeah. You're not bad because you know less. Yeah. It's just like they say, knowledge is power.
Mhm.
It's. uh, I agree.
Yeah. And it just fitting in this conversation just because I feel like a lot of people's education, formal and informal, ends with high school or college. And maybe they get, I guess throughout their career they'll build some, but besides that, I just feel like it's lacking. Whereas I think it just I don't know, it sounds so corny, dude. But it's like beautiful to like chase further knowledge.
Mm.
I'm not talking like when people say education, they're like it just immediately goes to for
Yeah.
required education from first grade to high school to college, master's, PhD,
Yeah. Yeah.
postdoctoral, like stuff like that. But which I like, obviously, but we talked about, our very first podcast episode, college or no college. And at least in today's, I'm not against college,
Yeah.
but
Definitely not.
I'm against the idea that like you have to take out student loans as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
It's just crazy,
That's
right?
systematic learning
Right.
is
The
like,
system,
yeah.
I don't like the system. So that kind of turned me into, how can I learn these things like on my own?
Mm.
And that continuation of education, of informal education of whatever topic, I just think it makes you a well-rounded and better, and I don't know in terms of what better in terms of what I don't know, but it just does.
Probably qu- quality of life. Like
You think so?
in no instance. Okay, I'm gonna say this and then mm, we can talk or maybe backtrack. I was gonna say in no instance does knowing more about something hurt you. And then the reason I hesitated because I was gonna say, they say like ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, I
So
was literally thinking
so
that. Yeah.
sometimes like if you don't know something, sure, if a family member dies and you're not yet aware that family member died, you're not gonna get those negative emotions. Yeah, that's not like doesn't fall in the education realm, really,
Mm,
but it's just knowing some information. But aside from things like that, those anomalies, being more informed about something can only serve you well. And yeah, like you said, it makes you more well-rounded, uh, both in thought and again, if you can apply it, then you can achieve more. It's just it's I feel like it's a pretty linear process.
mm.
And you said like you enjoy formal education? Were
No,
you
I
saying?
hate school, dude.
Oh, okay, okay,
I
okay.
hate
But at least
school.
was school easy for you?
School was easy to me, but I just could not sit in a freaking classroom
Yeah,
for
I
like
got
hour
you.
and a half. It
Yeah,
just got
I got you.
even in some of my favorite topics, it was hard. It was
Mm.
harder.
Got you. So I didn't hate school, but I don't really like it. I was just like, okay, school. I think I understood it was a necessity at a young age and forced myself to be okay with it. So I really didn't hate it. And I was like, definitely, I was a kid that always did my homework and did what I had to do because I wasn't naturally good at it. Um, But now I do appreciate learning new things. And my learning style, I definitely like learning with and from people. And it also helps to solidify for me. But yeah, I like through like conversation or through action, like doing something. For me to watch a lecture or read a book, it's actually very hard to digest things. Um, so yeah, I don't for whatever that's worth. I'm just saying, like, it just basically goes to your point of it doesn't have to be the kindergarten through high school or college, or even out of a book or video or whatever.
Hmm.
But
I, I am personally interested though, because I haven't had formal education since college. And so I graduated 2018. It's 2025. So it's been 7 years now. But I'm trying to think like I'm at a different place mentally since I was in college.
of
Like
course,
maturity wise, I would like to say I matured more. maybe,
no.
maybe. But with the adult piece, I want to test myself whether I would
Mm.
be able to succeed in school. Cuz I really didn't do well in college because I I don't say I barely went to class, but like I just did not like it. I really didn't. It was hard for me to pay attention. But then with the maturity piece, I'm trying to think like I'm gonna take this shit seriously. And whether if I could succeed in it, that's just a curious thing that I have in
Bro,
my
you
thought.
you could succeed. Like you just said it. You didn't do well because I disagree with what you said, which is crazy because it's your life, and I'm still disagreeing with it. You didn't not succeed because you didn't like it. It's because you what you said like didn't go or didn't apply
I didn't
yourself.
take it seriously as
Yeah, yeah.
well as I
You could
should
go if
have.
you went to college or went to class, whatever, right now, and you didn't like what you were studying, I bet you would still succeed. Again, just because, like you said, your
Mm,
mentality is different. You were like, I don't like this, but like I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna learn it, I can find a way to use it. Yeah, I whether you like it or not, I think you would do fine. Now for the other reason, the maturity, the growth, the
well, I
whatever.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
With
bro.
that being said, I don't want to go back to school because
Yeah.
now you're like locking yourself into a 2-year commitment to get a
Yeah,
master's.
yeah.
Now I don't know if I want to do that.
That's fair. But I mean, like we said, there's so many other ways. And there's certain jobs that require a higher level of education, but most don't. So,
Mhm.
hey, lucky for you, you probably never have to go back. Think you'll
And
be just fine.
a couple more pieces on the education piece I just kind of thought of. I'm trying to think of like wealth. It's
Mhm.
one of the well, there's no F in wealth, but I feel like in figurative wealth, you have freedom, right? You following me?
Not quite.
I feel like
I think I know
right
where you're
now I
going.
feel so free,
Yeah,
and that kind of contributes to the way that I feel. I'm like I feel wealthy in life.
bro. This also goes to the time thing I was gonna say. But yes, I'm with you.
So okay, so I need a couple like I need to do a couple jumping
Yeah, yeah,
jumping
yeah.
over
I'm with
words,
you.
but wealth, I'm trying to tie it to freedom.
Okay.
So maybe like a freedom is a piece of wealth.
Okay.
But then people do say the more you are educated and know stuff, like you are liberated or you're more free. You're
Mhm.
like because at least in the I don't know why this example came up, but like during the slavery times, right?
Mhm.
Like they didn't get taught how to read
Yeah. Get
officially,
it.
but then there would be like hidden sessions where they would teach the children or
Mhm.
even adults
Mhm.
like how to read and stuff like that, and that's like liberating.
Mhm.
That's to like find out the truth of what's really
Yeah.
happening because if you don't learn, you're just kind of trapped in the system.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to tie
Mm.
education into the freedom piece, which is it might be a far stretch, but
It's not a far stretch.
I'm
And
trying to say it. Maybe you can expand on it much better than I just did.
no, but I was trying to save what I was gonna say, but you keep saying things that are just so perfect. So I'm just gonna bring it up now. Um, First off, there's an old school rapper I almost guarantee you never heard of it called KRS-One. Have you ever heard of him? Okay.
He's a
Um,
goat.
I knew you were gonna say something stupid. Old school dude. Like I probably have heard only a handful of his songs, but KRS-One, if you ask any like older person that listen to rap, like don't know who he is. But I didn't know until I was older, the KRS stands for knowledge rules supreme. And I was like, dang, that's kind of like profound. Like knowledge rules supreme. And I think it kind of does. Like knowledge is liberating to your point. Like in a metaphorical sense, like it's supreme. Now on the side of it being like freedom, you know, in air quotes, you know, the T in our wealth acronym is team, but I was going to propose, again, skipping letters, but since we're going to talk about team, I'll talk about this now. I was going to talk about like time, and going back to the wealth definition, it was like the abundance of a valuable I can't talk, possession or resource. And, you know, they always say like money's a resource, like time is a resource that you can't get back. So in a sense, like if you can get, like the more time you can get back also could correlate to freedom. And I was wondering what you think about this saying. Wealth should be measured by how much autonomy you have over your daily life.
Freedom.
Right?
Autonomy, freedom.
But it's like how much you have over, yeah, like just drawing that parallel to freedom / autonomy and wealth is kind of a cool concept.
I feel like, okay, there's like a different scale, because I wouldn't say that the guy that, okay, let's go extreme.
Right.
Let's go homeless.
Right.
You're not dictated to do anything. Does that make you wealthy? Like, or in terms of that definition you just gave? No, I don't think so.
Correct.
So let's keep going to the right on this scale. And now you have, let's say, a middle class family, good job, but like it just the office life culture that sucks the soul out of you.
That rat race.
Yeah, going literally through the rat race for 40 years. Yeah, like you're at the peak of it's like it's like the bell curve, right? Like on this side you have the, I don't know, homeless. I guess that's, I don't know what else you could I'm not trying to shit on them, but like it, you know, I'm trying to put it on a level, right?
Yes.
So you have them in like at the peak of no, what was the definition you gave? Or what was the phrase you just said?
Wealth should be measured by how much autonomy you have over your daily life.
Okay, so autonomy, right? Like the family of 4, and then from a male, like I'm talking about the dad in the family, the dad in the family. You know, that 40 years of 9 to 5. Then you get 2 weeks. You heard everyone's heard the saying, the crappy rat race, and that's like the least autonomy. And as you get richer, and I guess in this term wealthier, you systemize things, like you become more free. Now you're on the other side of the bell curve where you actually do have autonomy. You actually have all these things that we're talking about. Whereas on the other side of the bell curve, you may have the autonomy piece, but you may not possess some or all of the other things that we're talking about, like worship, education.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Yes.
Lifestyle, health.
Correct.
So, yeah, I agree. I know that I understand the meaning behind that phrase, but I think that was just my thought on it.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a good phrase. I mean, it's good. It makes you think. I agree with it, but I don't think it's like absolute, or it's not like in totality. It's definitely, I think wealth is multifaceted. Again, I think rich is pretty singular. Like a lot of money, rich. Little money, not rich. Whereas wealth, it's like you can't replicate that. It's not a lot of any one thing makes you wealthy, or you can be wealthy in a category, but then you're cutting into that category. But like overall wealth, I think it is on a, I don't know, sliding scale, but it's like a measurement of multiple things. And again, these things we laid out, this is a very arbitrary acronym. But I think when you think of wealth, you think of things like these topics that we laid out. So yeah. But I just thought that reference of time to wealth and it being like the autonomy piece was so profound and hit home, because as you know, in the military, you do not have autonomy.
Yeah, that was the peak. least autonomy.
That's like less autonomy than the rat race dude you just talked about. Like
Yeah.
that is, yes, bottom of the barrel there. So, um, this timepiece, well, I guess was a little personal to me.
Yeah, dude. No, yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
want to keep. I mean, we're on the T, so let's just skip to the T then,
Okay.
and then we'll come back to the A after then.
I mean, my team was completely different though. That has nothing to do with team, so we
No,
can
but
keep
like,
going.
I mean, like you said, I don't think you necessarily have to follow the exact. I think
True.
it's just
Okay.
the
Yeah.
acronym thing is probably I like it, but it's probably a marketing piece, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
where they put a letter and they talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So I think for this platform, what we're talking about, I think we can change the letters however we want it.
Rebel
So-
against the acronym. All
Yeah.
right. Bet. Okay. So
But
let's
at
get in.
least on the T, I do like changing it to time because I think team, I could be totally wrong. In the book, I think he's talking more about like his businesses and stuff like that.
Got you.
And then I guess like we're not business owner that employs multiple people. So we have less to relate. But then the timepiece I think is relevant because when I think of wealth, I think of like generational wealth, right? There's the money piece that like kind of gets carried on. All the
Yeah.
stuff that we were talking about, maybe not health, maybe health. It could get passed on.
Mm-hmm.
Where like
I got
worship
you.
and what you believe in, you can
Yep.
pass that on to your kids. Like education,
Education,
I guess not literally. You can't like transfer your
but your knowledge. Yeah.
yeah, but then you can teach them outside of the formal education. You can pass that on. Money, you can pass that on. Lifestyle. I mean, you're going to be living with them. And hopefully, if you hit the worship, education, affluence piece passed on, I feel like lifestyle could be passed on as well.
We'll
And
say.
the time piece is what we're talking about. And the health, too. Same thing. Like the way the lifestyle gets passed on, then I'm sure the health gets passed on, too. So I think the big difference between the rich and the wealth piece is rich. I just never think of being rich as something that you pass on. I mean, you can, but then that's not the immediate thing that I think about. Whereas when you think about wealth, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like when you start, like you can become a legacy, right? You
Sure,
can be
right,
the
right.
turning point in your family. You can
Right.
in the family tree, and that's what I always kind of think about to myself. Like I want to be the turning point in my family tree. That
Heck yeah, dude.
not saying every. It sounds bad. It sounds like
no, we know. Yeah.
it sounds like my parents.
You're not trying to
or-
minimize your parents.
Yeah,
Nah.
or like my past generation, but like I want to go in a direction where all this wealth stuff that we're talking about gets passed on.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, time is a very relevant piece. We could say you're wealthy, but then if I somehow had a crystal ball to look into the future and then it doesn't get passed on at all,
Mhm.
I would question the truthfulness of that wealth that we're talking about for that particular person.
Mm. Okay. That's deep. Okay. I just had another thought on the time piece. Are we even going to talk about team at all, or are we just replacing it with time?
Let's go with time, dude.
Okay.
I
Okay.
like
Bet.
time.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I do like time better too. Okay. On that note, though, right? So, in all these things that we're talking about, these things being the topics for each letter, I'm just trying to apply abundance with that. So, we kind of talked about that with time.
Mm.
How the more of it you can have, the more of it you can get back to your own self. That autonomy over it kind of correlates with wealth in that category. But what about if, you still need a lot of time to do this, but I think there's a piece of it that's also optimizing your time. So you can hear that in businesses, right? Like if you optimize your time, maximize your efficiencies, like you could literally make your company, business, whatever, more wealthy. But if you apply that on a more personal, less corporate level, like let's say you optimize your time in the household, you have a cooking regimen you have like, hey, I'm going to at these hours of the day in the evening are dedicated to my daughter. You have, I don't know, a morning routine we've talked about plenty of times. I think that can create that whatever these internal feelings, like I'll stick with the morning routine. Like if you optimize your time there and it gets you started on the right foot of the day, it gets your mind going, it puts you in a positive mindset for the day. Maybe you plan out, think through your day. And now because of that, you attack your day in a more efficient manner, and then, you rinse and repeat and you systemize that. Now it's like, next thing you know, you're having more positive, again, in whatever way you look at positive, family time, work, fitness, but you're optimizing your time. I think that promotes a wealthy lifestyle as well. So not only the abundance of time, but also how you optimize that abundance. And I
Mhm.
think both of those contribute to the wealth of time.
You can also buy time too.
Yeah, it's
Like,
essentially like buying your time back.
yeah, uh there's a great story that Brandon Turner, like he's a famous real estate investor. He tells a story where he grew up in a very low middle class, like very definitely not rich, wealthy, well off at all. And he tells it's funny how he says as growing up as a kid, he always said, Olive Garden was those restaurants that only the rich
Fine
people went
dining.
to,
Yeah.
right? It just so that's how he grew up. And he was talking about one of his classmates that he went to school with, where his parents or their parents were very well off, and that he remembers a time where he found out that family had a maid to clean and do the chores around the house. And then they're like, oh, like that's so basically as a kid, Brandon, the kid Brandon Turner was like, oh, that's so snobby, like the rich people employing
Mm.
because they're lazy, blah 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 blah. And he later came to realize, as like a business, like a very successful business owner, he was like, it's not because he was rich that he got to become lazy. It's more on the fact that because he freed up his time by buying those like you could argue cleaning your house is not a very efficient task for your business, right?
Yeah, for a bit. Yeah, no.
Right. So by outsourcing that to a different person that's willing to do it, that's how they became successful. So it's like it's backwards.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's very relevant in today's life for everyone too, right? Because you could, let's say, going to work. Uh, let's say this is a crazy scenario, but bear with me, right? Let's say that your work was in New York City, but you lived in LA.
Oh gosh.
So there's multiple ways to get to your work, right? Probably the most expensive way will be taking a flight over there,
Mhm.
right? Don't find me on the little nuances. Oh, you
I
can
was about
fly
to say,
Frontier, but well, let's say flying is the most expensive, but at the same time, it's the quickest. So
right.
you're spending money to have the quickest way to save time. Whereas you could technically walk to work.
Oh God.
You could walk to work, right? So
Maybe.
that's an extreme example because I live in New
Yeah.
York. No one's gonna walk there, but you could walk or bike to work.
Hmm.
And then yeah, you're just gotta feed yourself, but you gotta feed yourself every day anyway. But so the transportation piece, it is the least expensive. It doesn't cost you any money to walk or bike.
Hmm. Right.
You buy the bicycle, sure. So you're sacrificing your time for money.
Right.
Whereas, like I said, kind of far fetched example, but you can apply that to a lot of stuff in your life. So the buying time piece, you just got to weigh out your pros and cons.
Right.
But
Exactly.
one of the things that we all all the humans have a constant of is 24 hours in a day. You
Mhm.
can't get bypass that. You can't bypass that. So if you like, obviously it helps to have more money. But if it's something that you want to go on a hike rather than do laundry, then you can just outsource that to someone.
Mhm.
And I don't
Yeah.
think it's a bad thing at all. It's just a way you want to spend your money.
Literally, yeah. It's very much a personal decision. Yeah, for how you want to spend your money and spend your time. Perfect conclusion. All right. Talked about you said money. I'm gonna go back to the affluence piece.
Yep.
Um, which I think this element has the most common association with the term wealth. This is the very material piece, the nice belongings or, nice job. So you're afforded a better, salary, et cetera, whatever. So you're more well off financially. I think because this is the most like common term, it's less to, I don't want to say talk about, but it's there. This one I think is the most obvious to see that the more abundance of these tangible items or money has a more linear, direct effect on your life.
I mean, there's a couple of things that we can talk about.
Oh,
For
I mean,
example, like the happiness portion, right? There's a big topic where what does money buy you happiness
Can
or
money
not?
buy you?
So
Yeah.
we had a podcast episode about that, and my answer is honestly, I think it does. I really
Yes.
truly believe money does buy you happiness, and I'm not saying all happiness. I'm not saying money is the entirety of happiness, but just this past weekend, I went to go see Julian in Chicago,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna lie, the trip cost me like $2,000 something when I calculated everything at the end. It a little bit more than what I wanted to spend, to be honest. But looking back at the time in Chicago, I went for St. Patrick's Day over 4 days. I just wouldn't. I would not happily, but I would trade it for those $2,000, 2,000 something
Dang,
dollars
bro.
I spent. So I bought an experience with that money. So yeah, that's one example of how money buys you happiness.
Right.
And it's also, you can say it in a different way. You can also prevent sadness or misery in a way. The easiest example is like food. I need to eat to function.
Right.
And to eat, you need money.
Right.
So that's kind of preventing the misery. Like and the kind of, I mean, when I eat, I'm pretty happy when I eat.
You both.
Right. And at least there's multiple studies done on this. And I think the conclusion, like scientifically backed, not scientifically backed, statistically backed,
Okay.
is that there is a cutoff piece where additional money is not going to just straight up be converted to happiness. Like if you're making $100 million and you go to 101, I don't think your happiness is going to increase at all.
Right.
But then if you're somewhere, I think the number that they do use, the number could be outdated due to inflation and whatnot, but they do use 75K or like 80K ish. Until you get to that point, like money to happiness level is like an exponential graph. It just keeps going up and up and up and up. But as soon as you hit that range or number, and that's going to depend on the person, but the range that's proven statistically is 75 to 80, somewhere around there, is that your happiness happiness level with more money you earn after that point just doesn't hit the same as going from anywhere from 0 to 75,
Okay. Yeah. That's an interesting little stat there. I could see it though. And then again, kind of extrapolating this further, I mean, you could do it for the whole wealth concept, being all these items we're talking about, but again, the affluence piece, introducing the term generational wealth, which is an actual term. Like you can pass this lifestyle and these resources and just the ability to experience life in a different capacity on to the next generation, and a lot of that has to do with this affluence piece based on what you build up. Like you said, you're trying to change. When you said you're trying to change the trajectory of your family, how do you think you can most affect that trajectory of your family? Like by what means? By like your worship practices? I mean, it doesn't even have to be these words, but like, how do you think you're going to be able to best do that? Or not even best is the word. Like, just how do you envision yourself doing that?
It's not the money piece that I want to pass on to my kids or future generations if I'm lucky enough to have kids. But it's my experience that allow me to get the money that I want to pass on. I guess it's related to money, which it sounds shallow. It could sound shallow for a lot of people, but I didn't grow up with money. And becoming an adult, you said very early in the episode that you have more appreciation of money as an adult because now you have to freaking work for it, right?
Yes, yeah.
So with that being said, I think it's kind of naive to say that money isn't important because some people say that. I'm like, wow, that's a crazy thought. But you
Necessity.
need you not a lot of money. You need money to do pretty much everything
Yeah.
in a first world country. Maybe yeah, sure. You know, if you're a Buddhist in somewhere
Yeah.
that lives in that lifestyle, sure, they might be exempt. But I'm talking about, you know, in a first world country, 99.9% of people is going to interact with money in some way. And if you had the skills to be rich or have money or not to have money, I don't see a way why you would choose not to have money. Because I do think a lot of money, excess of money, just kind of reveals the true identity of yourself. Like if you're cheap, when you become rich, you're still gonna be cheap.
Yeah.
If you're an asshole, you're still gonna be an asshole when you become rich. If you're truly a nice person, when you become rich or have money, you're still gonna be a truly nice person.
I like that.
And with the affluence piece, abundance of money, it is easier, not more likely, or not that it's gonna happen, but it is easier to give more, right? Sure, like even if like I think the act of giving $1 versus $50,000, I still appreciate the fact that people are trying to give.
Yeah.
But this is where reality hits. $50,000 is going to make much more impact than giving $1. It's just the way it is.
Fact.
And if you don't have disposable $50,000 to give, then you're not going to be able to make that impact. Or you're going to have to make it in other ways, and it's going to be much harder. And going back to Brandon Turner again, because I listen to a lot of his stuff, obviously. He says, he gives a lot, apparently, supposedly. I don't know if he actually does, but that's what he talks about. And I believe that he does. But he says what he's good at is making money through real estate, businesses. That's what he's good at. So instead of him trying to volunteer at a soup kitchen that he can, let's say he worked at a soup kitchen as hard as he could for 24 hours. You can't overcome that barrier, right? But then if you just donated $500,000, they can run a whole soup kitchen for an entire year with 10 staff. Or I'm just making up numbers, right? But
Yeah.
that you can say that he made much more of an impact than himself just working at the. So both noble
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
actions. One has more impact, one has less impact.
Yep.
And that
Well
comes
stated.
with money, or in this case, abundance of money, which is affluence.
I have nothing further.
All right.
That was
Lifestyle?
that was good. That's just my lifestyle. Remember that song?
Dude, I like that song. It's catchy. I don't know what he's saying, but it's catchy.
You know he's saying lifestyle. Lifestyle. An abundant lifestyle. I feel like this one is kind of a summation of all of these.
Yeah, I was literally going to
Like
say
if I
that.
had to put it in an equation, it'd be like worship plus education plus affluence plus time plus health equal like lifestyle.
Wealthy lifestyle.
Yeah, so with I mean, so I feel like this should be like I mean, it's not last in the word. I feel like this should be the last one though, because once you start whatever you identify as your personal category, your buckets of that contribute to your wealth. I feel like once you start pouring into all of your buckets and you find your balance or you optimize your personal method, once you not even achieve it, but like once you're pursuing that or when you're on that positive journey towards filling those, I'll say buckets, I think that's when you you start to get towards this wealthy lifestyle. It's not money. It's your happiness, your fulfillment, your sense of like belonging or worthiness, your knowledge, like all these things. I think that's when you get to the lifestyle piece. And to flip the conversation, which we haven't talked about, like, you know, can you be wealthy with no money? Could you be broke and wealthy, do you think?
It I do wanna say it is going to be harder, but I do believe so. I think you can.
I think you can be.
Yeah.
I think you can be. Yeah, I yes, I would say yes.
It's like
Um,
the scenario where, would you rather have a lifestyle where you are making $1 billion a year, a crazy sums of money that I can't even imagine, but you are grinding every single day.
right,
That's not your purpose for 18 hours a day. You see your wife for a couple hours, you see your kids for maybe 30 minutes a day. Or would you rather take a job that's 50K that has autonomy that you kind of like doing, and then you like that job because you get to go home to your family every day, and then you have such great benefits. That's why you haven't left the job. Like, which
right,
I think majority of the people would take that second option where you just have a abundant lifestyle, like what we've
right.
been talking about the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. It's that balance piece. Like you could have abundant in the one category, per your example, money category, but you're lacking in all these other things, or you could have abundance in multiple categories. Maybe not money, but you have enough, right?
Mhm.
And you're living a decent life, and you have a sense of wealth. Like you're fulfilled, you're abundant in a lot of things. Yeah, I think that's far more important. And that's why I like rebelling this concept of the traditional wealth. Oh, it's not just money, because this holistic view of wealth, I think, is much more impactful. And it's much more, I don't know, just wholesome to strive for. Like, I rather be, again, this is just me, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can relate. I rather be abundant or even just have a lot in all of these different topics we're talking about than just money. And yes, we talk about money a lot in a lot of our episodes. It's a thread in a lot of what we talk about, which just speaks to the relevance of money, which is why, somebody says money is not important. I think money is absolutely a necessity. So I think it's kind of ludicrous to say it's not important. But um it's there's a lot of things I would put above money, actually. And for those reasons, I think wealth is so much more encompassing than just what's in your pocket, like without a doubt. Um But I was gonna say, circling back to when I asked you, although it's not all about money, from a generational wealth standpoint, and I also think you were getting at this, it would be optimal to pass down, you live a long life, you learn so many things on your journey that is life. It would be nice to pass those things down so somebody can replicate it, or like you get this far, so your kids, whoever comes
Mhm.
next, can start there and get even further. They're not starting back from where you started from. But I think the easiest and most transactional, like I have it, you now have a thing to pass down, is those assets and or money. Um, so one could argue you could most impact generational wealth with the tangible items, but certainly that's not it. And I think we strive to pass down much more than that. I just think it's the easiest, maybe most obvious, most notable thing to pass down.
Mm.
And it's yeah, which is again why generational wealth is typically thought of as like what you got monetarily from your grandparents or parents. But, I challenge you to believe like it could generational wealth could also be more encompassing than just that as well. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of tied for me. Generational wealth kind of ties back into what I was talking about during worship, where it's not about the worship, but you're trying to care for someone else.
Mhm.
But how cool is that to be that guy? I'm like, hey, your grandpa, let's say me in this, or your great 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 grandpa, which is me in this case, like, or it could be you, or it can be anyone. he's because of what he did, what he accomplished, we get to live this life, or something like that. Maybe I'm just it may be a fantasy, but I think it
No,
just
you get
whether
no.
whether that becomes reality or not,
Mm-hmm.
I think trying to strive for that,
Exactly.
it's better than not trying to strive for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like I think religion, like whether it's real or not, like trying to carry out what I guess its teachings, I think will do more good than not.
Mhm.
All right, dope. What we got? Health,
Health is the last letter in wealth.
health. I also think habits would be a good H1 too, but um, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I do like habit as a
yeah,
yeah. I was like, maybe it
yeah,
could get lumped in with a lifestyle.
yeah, kind of, yeah, definitely. Um, Health, I think, is a foundational piece in all this. Like, I think if you don't have health, or even like a decent level of, again, a baseline level of health, it's going to be hard to pursue a lot of these other things or get good at them, or just focus in on them. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like health is kind of a building block of
Mhm.
wealth. I think it's easier to be healthy than wealthy, vice be wealthy and healthy. I don't know. Let me chew on that. What do you think? It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? What? Cause sure, if you, yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be, I don't know if better is the term I want to use, but for some reason that's the only thing that's coming to my head. Better to pursue a healthy lifestyle, and then from that kind of you kind of start getting all these other things. I mean, it certainly can happen the other way around, but I don't know.
Mhm.
For some reason, to me, health seems very foundational, and I mean, certainly lifestyle.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
another
maybe not all the other ones.
it's one of those like would you rather that,
Yeah.
you can live for 5 more years with unlimited money, or would
Right.
you rather live 60 years with none of that infinite money?
Right.
And yeah, it's just it's health is one of those things that's even harder than time, because if you have a lot of money, you can not add more time to your life, but you can you can buy back the time that you were already given much very easily.
Mhm.
But with the health piece, like, you can be doing great. You can be scientifically the most optimized health for your like person, your
Mhm.
DNA. But at the end, we still don't have anyone that's lived forever.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna come to an end,
Yeah.
regardless of how healthy you are. And obviously, the idea is to prolong that timeline. But yeah, it's you hear so many mega rich people just talk about health.
Crazy that correlation, right? Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that. I love that concept.
because a lot of times we do often sacrifice health
Yes.
for wealth in the traditional means, in the
For money, I was gonna
traditional
say,
terms
yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
It just sounded better to say wealth instead
Yeah.
of money. But yeah,
I
like,
agree.
and one of my favorite episodes that we recorded was at my place when you flew to Phoenix and we did the Outlive episode.
Mhm.
Great,
100%.
great, great book. The Outlive book. It's a pretty lengthy book that kind of talks about just trying to live long, like your longevity of your life.
Yeah.
And it's a medical book, which the author does an amazing job
Yes.
trying to keep you engaged. And I was engaged, even though he threw in so many complex terms. But he threw in a lot of stories which I enjoyed, and and it's coming, at least for us. It's coming to that time where I
Yeah.
guess we don't necessarily need to focus now, but it's coming to an age where we will
Oh,
have to
yeah.
start focusing on it within this next decade.
Dude, talking about habits, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
first off, you bringing up that book, was exactly what I was gonna do. It is phenomenal book. Peter Attia is the author.
Pete, thank you.
Um, Outlive. Yeah, great book that dives way further into this. But so yes, we are at a pivotal point. And also in that episode, I thought it was interesting because we brought up the concept of centenarians, and there was the Netflix show that kind of went around the world and found the pockets of centenarians.
Blue Zone.
Blue Zone, yep. And what they did to get, like, why are these people in these people in these pockets of the world living so long? And it's kind of coming full circle in my head right now, because they lived a wealthy lifestyle. Dude, they had a sense of community, which was the original T in this thing, team, right? They had certain people around them. They had religious practices. They kept their minds busy, maybe education, maybe just stimulation.
Purpose.
Purpose.
Purpose is a big one, yeah.
There was a huge one. Oh my God. And then in health, they ate certain things that were maybe indigenous to that part of the world, but literally it was exactly what we're talking about. All these buckets of things came together to promote a long lifestyle, to extend the lifespan, and kind of what B was saying, and what the term I got introduced to in this book, Outlive, their health span. So again, talk about that abundance. This is how their health was abundant. They maximized their healthiness to live longer, and what I think is like the ultimate wealthy lifestyle. And some of these people they might have had little to no money. I mean, they literally lived in third world style living condition, but they were happy. They had, like you said, that sense of purpose. They lived long, they lived happy, they lived wealthy. Some of them without actual money, like not large amounts of money. And dude, now that I'm thinking about it, I think is the perfect example of a wealthy lifestyle, which is so ironic because the purpose of that book and those documentary series was like kind of like health, like, but it also highlighted wealth. And I just think that's perfect.
Yeah. Man, yeah, that's good. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess it sounds like I stole some of the things you wanted to say. I
No,
also
it's
wanted to
perfect.
say that, which you stole it from me. Not stole it from me. I'm sure we both were thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't feel as bad.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that's
So
good.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, going back to the own question I posed, like what comes first? I don't know that there's a right answer, or there is one. Because in the example I just gave, these people did all these things throughout their life that promoted long health. But again, the earlier you are healthy and maintain health will allow you to continually pour in all these other buckets. So I don't know. I think it's just one of those things that kind of they all coexist. And one of my favorite just concepts to think about, which is really so simple, is just balance. I think that's what it comes down to. And balance is interesting to me because I think it's one of those things that can never be perfectly achieved. Did I tell you I want to get a tattoo that was relating to balance?
Oh, I think you
Yeah.
may have actually.
Yeah.
The
I was
yin and
actually gonna
yang.
be the yin and yang, yeah.
What about a
Um
Libra?
that too.
That'll be good.
What if I could incorporate a yin and yang into the Libra
The
skit?
black and white pieces on
The
the individual
we
Libra.
might be onto something. I need to hit up some like chat Jeep, some AI visuals, like make me a tattoo that incorporates. I don't know, we might be on
What
something.
about the idea? I forgot who said it, but I've heard the idea where, like, if you're trying to be successful, I guess this like will be more money side related. They're like, don't look for balance. You need to work, work, work,
Mm-hmm.
work, work, and at a
I've heard
later point, there will be a balancing moment where you're starting to balance the work life with your personal life.
yes. I agree with that to an extent. I have heard that too. And I don't think you can completely neglect one. Oh, while we're on that topic, before I forget, also like yesterday, I heard somebody reference Kobe, R.I.P. to one of
Mm-hmm.
the greats, and he said, "You know how people say don't put all your eggs in one basket." Kobe
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Put all your eggs in one basket and make more eggs." Not really sure what that means. Sounds great, but he was just so focused on just such a driven mindset, kind of like what you're saying. I think there has to be, and I'm not saying achieve. I think people try to achieve like harmonious balance, like the perfect balance throughout their life. And I think what you said gets more at that. Like you can get the more harmonious balance later in life, but I think you do need some type of balance throughout your life. And even when you're in that grind phase, like, dude, you gotta sleep some point, you gotta eat some point. Like you need, it might not be the best balance if you're gonna cut, but you need to recognize the other parts of your life. You just might devote more of your energy and brain power to this one thing, for these 5 years of this, whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't think you can ever neglect balance.
No, I see what you're saying.
And which is why it's so crazy to me that it's this thing that's always there, but you can never really get right. You always chase it, but you're never going to catch it. Like that's just such a crazy concept to me, but kind of profound. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like how you said it on the second time around. I really like that.
Just my 2 cents. There you, man, another take on wealth, far from the traditional sense, and a lot to chew on and think about from that episode. Yeah. I appreciate the conversation as always, B. To our listeners, we thank you constantly. And catch us next week. We'll have a fresh new topic, new discussion for you. That's all we got.